So for whatever reason, people tend to forget that the same way that jobs can let us go, part ways with us, right? Because that's always the terms that they use. When they are unhappy with us, when they're going in a new direction, when they are starting to do something new and they decide to do a round of layoffs or they decide to let people go, we can do the same. So if they're not meeting our needs, if we feel like we're not growing, if we feel like there are no growth or development opportunities, if there's a new president or a new CEO, or maybe they have hired a new boss or a new department head over you and you're not really vibing with that person, you too can walk away. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the official Thompson Resume Writing Company YouTube channel, where I share weekly tips and hints on how to update, refresh, and or prepare your resume and LinkedIn profile for your job search, along with some career advice, some job search tips, and some personal stories of my own. I am Tamika Thompson. I am the owner and resume writer at Thompson Resume Writing Company, and I specialize in transforming bland, lackluster resumes and LinkedIn profiles into powerful selling tools that help corporate mid-level management and executive professionals land interviews 2 times faster. If you are new to my channel, welcome, and I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you for coming across my video, however way you did, and I hope that you like it enough and find value in it to go ahead and hit the subscribe button below to join my YouTube community. If you are a returning viewer or a returning subscriber, thank you so much for always staying in tune with my uploads and showing my content some love by liking the video, commenting down below, and sharing the video on other platforms. Y'all are the truth. I love it. I just love to see it. For today's video, I am going to be sharing some clear, crystal clear signs that you need to quit your job, leave your job, or start to get ready to leave your job or do those things to pursue new opportunities. Let's get right into it. In a previous video that I shared to my channel, I talked about several signs that may indicate that you might be getting fired or laid off, terminated, let go soon. To flip the script for today's video, we're going to be diving into some signs that may indicate that it's time for you to fire your job. So for whatever reason, people tend to forget that the same way that jobs can let us go, part ways with us, right? Because that's always the terms that they use. When they are unhappy with us, when they're going in a new direction, when they are starting to do something new and they decide to do a round of layoffs or they decide to let people go, we can do the same. So if they're not meeting our needs, if we feel like we're not growing, if we feel like there are no growth or development opportunities, if there's a new president or a new CEO, or maybe they have hired a new boss or a new department head over you and you're not really vibing with that person, you too can walk away. Contrary to popular belief, and this is old school career advice or old school way of thinking in terms of jobs, it used to be like, oh, you have to stay in your job, until the end of time and retire there and work there 35 years. No, you don't have to stay in your job really any length of time if you don't like it there. Now, obviously, you want to try to stay in any position at least a year or longer. But again, if you're not happy, if they're not meeting what you need professional-wise, you can leave. And there tend to be some signs that are flashing right in your face that may indicate that you may be ready to leave or try something new. And your reasons for leaving can include wanting to make more money, wanting to have better benefits. It can include wanting to work for maybe even a better company. Whatever those reasons are, completely up to you, and you don't owe anyone an explanation as to why you are looking to leave. So without further ado, here are some signs that it may be time to get your resume updated, get your resume refreshed so that you can hit the job search street, leave your current job, and find a better or a new opportunity. Number 1 on this list is if you've gone as high or as far as you can go in either the company, in your department, or in your role. So maybe you started out as a coordinator 6-7 years ago and you've gradually worked your way up to a director. But now that you're a director, maybe you've been a director for the past 3 to 4 years and you're ready for a new challenge, or you're ready to kick it up a notch or take a step up, and maybe that senior director role or maybe a VP VP role or, you know, a district director role or something like that is not available and there's nowhere else for you to go. Maybe you are in a smaller organization and you are in a role and there is no going up to manager, going up to director opportunities, and specialist is what you come in as, and there's nowhere to advance or nowhere for you to go after you have kind of mastered your specialist type position. And if you are like me, I am someone who has to grow. Like every 2 to 3 years, I have to be doing something different. That is how my career trajectory has gone so far. Like me being in the same position for more than 3 years is very few and far in between because I consistently like growing. So in my career thus far, unfortunately, I have worked for a lot of smaller corporations, a lot of smaller organizations where there has not been that growth opportunity. So if I come in as a coordinator or I come in as a marketing operations manager, that's all I'm going to be doing for the full 2.5 years. I may be able to bump up to a manager, but the pay may not come with it, right? And there may not be things that I'm exposed to as I would at a different organization or at a different company holding the same title. So if you have gone as far as you can go, you've hit the ceiling, you've hit whatever that limit is, and there's nowhere else for you to spread your wings, it may be time for you to consider going elsewhere. Number 2 is if you have mastered your role and there's nothing else new for you to learn or master or do. So it's a little bit similar to the first thing on this list, but with this one, maybe you are at a manager's level and maybe there's just nothing new that you can take on, nothing that's going to help you learn or acquire some new skills. There's nothing that you don't know. And when you've hit kind of like your learning peak in a position, you know exactly how that feels. So maybe everything just seems routine and nothing excites you anymore. There's no new challenge or no new hurdle to overcome. It's kind of like, oh, I know how to do this. I know how to do everything. Nothing, challenges me. Nothing stretches me. Nothing grows me. There's nothing new or exciting, so no new projects, no new anything. It's just the same and everything is pretty consistent with no hiccups or no bumps or nothing that really excites you. That can be a sign that it is time for you to either advance, or if those advancement opportunities are not available, to try to find something new that is going to teach you something new, help you acquire new skills, or fulfill that desire that you may have to just learn something new and to experience something different. And this has happened to me in the past as well. So in a previous company that I worked for, I did unfortunately kind of hit this peak where it was like I knew the ins and out of everything. It took me, I want to say, about 1.5 years, maybe 1 year and 8 months, maybe some change, somewhere around there, to really grasp everything and get into my routine and to learn everything and to feel like, okay, I got this down packed, I got everything, under control, and I know exactly what I'm doing. But once I hit that mark, it was kind of like, well, there was nothing new to learn. So yes, I've mastered everything and I've learned everything and I know how to do everything and I'm doing it very well, but there's nothing new to learn. And so what happened was, like, within that next year, I got bored because there's nothing new that's popping up to excite me or give me like a light bulb moment or really just kind of kick me into drive, like, oh, I can't wait to learn this, or what is this new shiny thing or shiny new skill or new concept or technique that I can learn. So typically when you master something, you may feel, kind of bored, you may feel kind of humdrum, and everything may just seem like a routine or a pattern. Number 3 is if you are unhappy or you no longer like what it is that you do. So unhappiness at your job or not liking what you do at your job, those have differing or varying factors, right? Because you can love what you do but not like the company that you work for or where you do, the job for, or where you do your job at. So that can be a sign like, hey, I love accounting and I love all the aspects of accounting, but I don't really care for working for this company for A, B, C reasons. Or if you are unhappy in doing what you do, that can be a sign that it may be time for a career transition. And signs like that include like you're no longer enthused about what it is that you do. Maybe you find what you do, you used to enjoy it and you used to really love it, but now it's more so of a chore, or it's draining, or it's tiresome, or you're just kind of feeling like, man, I really don't want to do this, and you're having to push through not wanting to do it, just feeling dragged down and just genuinely unenthused, uninterested all around. And that is exhausting, to spend like a whole day, 8 hours a day, maybe even more, doing something that you either don't like doing, are unhappy doing, or if you're doing something at a company where you don't like doing those things at. Unfortunately, this did happen to me, and I did share this in a video that I posted to my channel earlier this year, how I had a position where it was like I loved what I was doing, but I hated the company because it was so ridiculously toxic. And so even though I loved marketing and I loved every aspect of marketing, the company was trash. And so it ended up triggering my depression and triggering my anxiety and really left me in a dark space mental health wise. So if you are either unhappy with your job in particular, so let's say you're in accounting and you're realizing you don't care for accounting related tasks anymore and you want to transition into something new, or maybe you love accounting but you just don't like the company that you're doing accounting for, those are some key indicators. And you can change that simply by just either getting a new job, so transitioning industries, or just transitioning or going into a new company. Number 4 on this list is if you are overworked. So I actually just finished working with a client who is ridiculously overworked. Like, they are working at least 60-hour work weeks. They are on call all day, every day, even on the weekends, and that person was drained. And so they reached out to me, sent me an Instagram message, and was like, yo, Tamika, we need to get this resume updated because I am burned out. I'm spending no time with my family. I'm not able to cook dinner for my family. We're not able to have family dinners together. This is a problem for me. On the weekends when I'm trying to go to the zoo, with my family, I'm getting emails all day. I'm having to send, messages and proposals. This person is done. Okay. So if you are at that point where it's like, you know what, this is overwhelming and it can't be worked out. So maybe you take this issue to your manager. You say, hey, so-and-so, I'm feeling burned out. I'm feeling overworked. I'm really feeling bogged down. I can't handle it. And it is okay to say that, right? I feel like there's this stigma in the professional workplace where we as workers and employees are supposed to just take on anything and everything that they throw at us, right? So burden us with this, we can handle it, and we want to take it and we want to complete everything because we want to show that we're dependable and that we're hard workers. Stop that, right? Burnout is not cute. Being overworked is not cute. Having a company take advantage of you is not cool, and you shouldn't have to do that for a paycheck. So if you go to your manager and you let them know, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm at my capacity, I can't really take, anymore, and there's nothing that can be done, and they keep kind of throwing stuff on you and you're just completely burned out and just ready to go, that is a sign that it's time for you to pursue a new opportunity. And we saw a lot of this happen during the pandemic, right? That was the reason for the Great Resignation. A lot of people felt overworked, underpaid, not valued, just completely burned out, and ended up rage quitting altogether. And while you don't have to rage quit your job, you can simply just kind of get the ball rolling on finding a new position or getting prepared to start your job search. And that includes, drafting a job search strategy, getting your resume updated, getting clear on the type of jobs that you want to go for, and so on and so forth. And I also want to mention that being overworked and experience being overworked looks different for different people. Only you know when you are past your limit or past your capacity and the amount of work that you are able to handle. So ideally, yes, we are supposed to be working only 40-hour work weeks, but we all know that that doesn't typically happen, right? Sometimes it's more so 50, maybe it's kind of bleeding into 52, 53, and if you're okay with that and that works for you, that's fine. Other people have a hard set, no, 40 hours a week, that's it. I have a family, I have kids, I'm only working from this hour to, this time to this time, and I'm only available on this day to this day. I myself have gotten really disciplined in not answering or checking my work emails on the weekends. It took years for me to get into that habit, but in order for us to have our boundaries and have our standards, we have to know what our boundaries and standards are in order to even set them. So you will decide, or you can decide, what does overworked look like for you? What is that boundary or that line that someone would cross for you? Next on this list is a major one. Okay, so if you want and feel like you can make more money doing exactly what you're doing now somewhere else, go for it. And this is just me, I am someone who is big on money. I like to be paid a certain amount, not just for my lifestyle and, bills and everything like that, but I feel like with the value that I can bring to a company with my marketing experience. So marketing, I make people money, right? And in exchange for me making you money, I too expect to make good money, making you money. So if you feel as though you can make more money at a different company doing the exact same thing, maybe with a little bit more responsibility, then go for it. That was another reason for the Great Resignation, right? We saw people quit low-paying jobs and say, hey, I can do better. I have so many people who just landed their first six-figure salaries, myself included, because it's like, you realize how underpaid you are, and for whatever reason, maybe you didn't do your salary research or your salary digging due diligence before you took the job, and you realize that you were lowballed, or maybe you've been in that position for the past 3 to 5 years and your tasks have been steadily increasing over that time period, but your pay has stayed the same, which is so whack. So if you are someone who is salary driven, and there's nothing wrong with that, there's nothing wrong with saying, I expect to make $130,000 with my skill set. I have this degree, I have X number of years of experience, I have all of these skills and competencies, I expect to make this. There is nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of people who feel as though, we should just take whatever these companies give us and just to pay our bills. And that's not the case, right? If I expect a job to pay me $500,000, then I expect that job to pay me $500,000 because I'm worth it and I deserve it. There's nothing wrong with having high standards for your salary expectations and how much money you're looking to make at a job, especially if you are working your butt off to provide value and get things done and positively impact the company. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So don't let anyone salary shame you. So if you're in a position and you're making maybe $65,000 and you hop on Indeed, or maybe you hop on LinkedIn and you're saying a marketing specialist position at a different company making $85,000 or more, go for it, apply to it, and if that's what you want, there is nothing wrong with it. Number 6 is if you've been in your current role for a long time. So again, going back to, traditional career advice was to stay in your job or stay with the same company for, until the end of time, retire there, get your retirement package, your pension, or whatever it was. Today, there's nothing wrong with staying in a position for an extended period of time, especially if you enjoy it. But if you've been in your position for maybe 5 years, maybe even 7 years, or longer, and you haven't been promoted, or you haven't advanced in any way, you haven't been moved up, it may be time for you to look for something new. Now, don't get me wrong, nothing wrong with having one single job for an extended period of time, especially if you are nearing towards the end of retirement and you really just want to coast. But it does look good on a resume for you to be moving up or progressing or advancing or making some sort of a change in 5 years or less. So in each position, me personally, again, I tend to stick around for maybe 3 years, but that's just me. Every 2.5 years or 2 years, I like to be bumping up in some way, shape, or form. Typically on your resume, you should have some sort of a transition or some sort of a career move every 5 years or so. So if you've been in your current position for 7 years or longer, 5 years or longer, it may be time for you to consider getting a promotion, or even just making a lateral move into another department, something that kind of switches it up a bit. Last on this list is if you can just feel like in your spirit or in your gut, or maybe just from the universe in general, that it is time for something new. Now, with one of my positions, I felt that spirit telling me that it was time for something new way before I ended up leaving. Unfortunately, the pandemic hit and I ended up getting stuck there a little bit longer than I anticipated because, beginning of the pandemic was like hella chaotic. But If you listen to your gut and you listen to your spirit, if you're one of those type of people who's just like very intuitive, you can tell when it's time for something new. So again, maybe you don't have that passion that you used to have. Maybe your energy in meetings is just like steadily going downhill. Maybe you no longer like what it is that you do. Maybe you feel like it's time for a challenge. Either of those things, and plus some others, we all have our reasons, but you can feel when it's time for something new. You may be feeling kind of antsy or kind of jittery, or you kind of got that itch where it's like you just kind of hop over to Indeed and take a peek and take a look every so often. That can be a sign that it may be time for something new for you. And another thing too is if you're just tempted to kind of apply to a position just to see if you'll get callbacks, just to see what's out there, just to see. I have people who do that too, right? So they'll get their resume updated and they're like, well, I'm not actively looking, but I'm open, right? Which kind of implies that you may be, if not soon, at some point in the future, open to something new. So if you find yourself wanting to put out feelers or just kind of ask around your network, if you're kind of glancing at job boards on the side, in the evening when you get off work, that can be a sign. Okay, so those are some clear signs that it may be time for you to leave your job, quit your job, get ready to start leaving your job, etc. I hope that you found this video helpful. After watching, go ahead and let me know in the comments below if any of these things sound like something you may be going through right now. So have you noticed that you've been unhappy? Do you feel as though you've been overworked? And did you know that that may be a sign for you to start looking for something new? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it to the end of this video. If you need assistance with your resume, feel free to reach out to me. I am accepting new clients for the month of June. My website is www.thompsonresumes.com. You can also email me directly at hello@thompsonresumes.com. Also, feel free to follow me on social media. You can follow me on my Instagram page @_Mika Thompson. You can also send me a LinkedIn connection request on LinkedIn. My profile name is Tamika Thompson. You can go ahead and search me and I will come up. And last but not least, I do encourage you to sign up to my Tamika's Career TE newsletter list, where you will receive 3 to 4 emails a week with job search tips, LinkedIn tips, resume tips, new content that may be dropping soon, freebies, resources, and so much more. I'll go ahead and put the link in the description box below for you to go ahead and sign up. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I appreciate you watching until the very end of this video. I will see you next week with another helpful video that is going to help update or change your resume, career, LinkedIn, or job search life. Bye, you guys.